So, Kath, the last couple of weeks we've been talking about making decisions. And some people in my world came to my mind, right? And we can all relate to this.
Yeah.
There's some people just really struggle to make any decisions.
Yeah.
Whether they're small, little, lighthearted decisions, medium kind of decisions in life, or the really big ones, they just really, really struggle. And I said to you, Kath, what do you think it is? Like, what is holding people back from making any decisions in life? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And then you said to me, this will be a great episode. Let's record it. So here we
So
are.
here we are. And I love that question. And it's a big question. And I think the answer is probably not nearly as simple as what I'm going to make it out to be. So if you're listening to this, I'm sure there are many reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But I think underneath all the many, many reasons why some people really struggle, I think is one big, big fat reason. And I think one of the biggest underlying things is fear. Fear of getting it wrong.
Fear of getting it wrong. Mm-hmm.
What if I make the wrong decision? What if I mess up?
Yeah.
And so I think that's definitely the one of the big, or even I'm happy to even put my head out there and go, the underlying reason.
Yeah. And that sits with, all of the things that I've read and in our coaching training. Fear holds us back in so many different ways, and it holds us back day to day from making big and little decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember, as you just said something there about coaching, because I remember pre-coaching, like a couple of years, wind back a couple of years before, I had made the decision to leave medicine, and that decision was clear in my mind. There were many, many different reasons. It was a multifaceted, all kind of inclusive decision, and it was a hard decision, but nonetheless, I'd made that decision. And so then I had another big decision to make, and that was like, if I'm not going to pursue medicine, what is my purpose? What do I want to do with my life? Like, what do I want my life to be about? And do I go and study again? A lot of these questions that clients ask me today, like, what do I create as another career moving forward? And at the time, it felt like a really big, heavy decision. And the story I was telling myself back then was that studying medicine for me was wrong, which I now know is not the truth at all. Like, I think it was part of my journey. I'm so grateful for that part of the journey. It's part of me. If I could now go and change it, I don't think I would change that. I would go back and do it all again.
Wow.
But at the time, I was saying that was wrong. So the next thing you do, Kathryn, better be right. And that's the story I was telling pre-coaching. Hallelujah, I'm at coaching.
I love how you used your full name there. You better get it right, Kathryn.
Yeah, and I think I was stuck in this black and white, this binary thinking. It's right or it's wrong, or it's good or it's bad. And that just puts so much pressure. And so I stayed stuck, and I was pretty paralyzed because I was so filled with fear of getting it wrong again. Because part of that narrative is I'd given 17 years to a wrong career. If I give another 17 years to a wrong career, that's my life gone,
Yeah, so you've wasted your whole life, Kathryn. But we go to that kind of thinking often. When I worked as a careers advisor in school, the poor young people were coming in trying to decide which maths or science to pick because they didn't want to get it wrong based on their career. And it's so much pressure. And picking their university. And we don't take these decisions lightly. Absolutely not. But the moment that we think one is right and one is wrong and put that pressure, then it's no wonder we're stuck in fear.
Yeah. Because I think that the decisions that if you bring to mind those people that you say, you've got some people in your world that really, really struggle with all kinds of decisions. Like the decisions are, okay, there may be people that like are on the spectrum where even the smallest little decisions are a struggle.
Yeah.
But quite often it's the fear of getting it wrong. We don't want to get it wrong for a whole lot of reasons.
Yeah.
We don't want to get it wrong. Like for me, that part of it was I don't want to waste another 17 years, you know.
Don't wanna waste your
But it
life.
might be I don't want to get it wrong because I know this decision doesn't only impact me, it impacts others. So I don't want to get it wrong for others too.
Yeah.
Or I don't want to get it wrong because I don't want others to think I can't make a wise decision or make a right decision, you know. So I think there's so many, like, what comes next after the fear of getting it wrong, you know, that sort of the next, how do you complete that sentence, and what are you actually fearing? Like, so if you do get it wrong, what's the problem with that?
Yes.
Like
And that's
that.
exactly the conversation I would have with the young people. Okay, well, what if you do get it? Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Let's go there for a minute. What's the worst that can happen here? And once you realize, often for young people thinking about their subjects, for example, or for their university degrees, once we sort of realize the worst that can happen and we realize it's actually not the end of the world, that we don't really get it wrong as such, it just gives so much more freedom.
Yeah, and I also love, you know, so when we're in that space of the fear is, what if I get this wrong? Like the moment we go to that, well, it's wrong or it's right, like that's judging thoughts. Like that's very judging. And so we judge ourselves, and we're often the worst judges of ourselves. And so I love that one of the tools we learned in our coaching was all around sort of the below the line language versus above the line language. And the word we swapped, you know, like fear of failure, the fear of failure, we swapped that with, well, what if it's not failure? What if it's feedback? And so that for me was the one thing that gave me freedom, like in my coaching journey in the early days, was the whole thing of, oh my gosh. So what did I fear? Well, I felt getting it wrong, but actually I feared failure. I feared being a failure. And so recognizing that, hang on a minute, what if it's not failure? Like, as you said, what if it's not failure? You know, what if it's not wrong? It doesn't mean that it's the choice you're going to stay with.
No, that's right.
But as we shared last week, sometimes, or the week before, sometimes you're only going to know, like Joyce Meyer says, you only know by giving it a go. You know, you got to give it a go. You got to figure it out. And so it's the making the choice and stepping into it. That's how you get the feedback. And so for me, I think what helped and what shifted this was, okay, so what if I can actually look at decisions moving forward and realize that I don't need to judge them as right or wrong or good or bad. I mean, some, you know, we're talking about two right decisions, or, you know.
We're not talking about a moral dilemma here.
No, not at all. Then going, well, you know what, either could be right. And yeah, it's feedback to give it a go and see what feedback I get.
Yeah. And sometimes the fear might be fear of what other people think of us, or fear of, you know, not getting people's approval, or being able to get it, being able to do it, fear of our ability, you know, whether or not we just don't have what it takes. And I think what's important too is to try and peel back the layers a bit to see what it is that we are afraid of, and start to address that. So it might be that we're afraid of failing it, but it might be that we're afraid that we just aren't good enough. Okay, well, what is good enough? Like, because so many of our young people, like if I think of a couple of people in my world right now, you know, they struggle with their self-esteem. It's like, okay, so it's no wonder that it's such a struggle to make some decisions, because they're so worried about other people's approval of them all of the time. They don't approve of themselves, and they're wanting other people's approval.
You've just hit it right there. And I think, you know, we've touched on this last week when you were saying you recognized that you were asking yourself, look, what are other people going to think about us getting another dog? You know, that's like, and then you had the insight to realize, you know, you're looking, the moment we look for that outside approval, it actually speaks volume about not having the internal approval. and what's going on the inside. And
Mm.
so I think in my life, where I've been sort of paralyzed by fear of getting it wrong or fear in the decision making, it's come from an insecurity within me.
Mm.
And so if you're listening and you relate,
Yeah.
we relate to
Yeah, 100%.
and
100%.
I think it's part of being human to want to, we want relationship. We are relational beings, and we want our life to have meaning, and part of that is, I think it's natural to want at some level like approval or acceptance or belonging,
Yes.
because we want
Of
that
course.
belonging and acceptance from others.
Yeah.
So how do you navigate that in a healthy way that doesn't become this approval seeking, people pleasing thing?
The things
You
that we've
know?
all undone. We've had
Yeah.
to navigate ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it definitely comes back to doing the internal work. Like, what does this mean for me? And it's just that clarity piece.
Mm.
Because sometimes, we've spoken about being fuzzy in your head, and sometimes we
Yeah.
are a bit fuzzy about what it even means for us.
Yeah. So I think, if you're listening in and you realize, oh, actually, I really struggle to make lots of decisions. And if that's okay and you're happy to continue that way, that's fine. But it
Yeah.
might be worth going, okay, I wonder what it is, rather than having a chuckle going, oh, I struggle to make decisions. Go, okay, well, what is it? What am I hiding behind? What am I afraid of? Do you want to address what's really going on?
Yeah.
Because we've all got the opportunity to do that, or we don't. We could just continue on because it doesn't impact us greatly.
Well,
Um,
sometimes it's the easiest thing to go, no, like I actually quite enjoy the identity piece of the person who doesn't know,
don't know what I'm doing. Yeah.
Oh, no, the other one, I mean, and I've been there, what I used to do is I used to say, like, I used to love saying, actually, oh, I'm the easygoing person. I don't mind. I
Yeah.
don't like whatever you want to do. I'm just
Yeah.
easy. I'll
You
just go
didn't want
with
to make
whatever.
a decision.
Right, and that was the story I was telling myself.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so again, we're not saying you
Hmm.
have to,
No, I don't have to.
yeah. But if you're tired of the exhaustion of sitting in this place of
Indecision.
decisions are hard,
Yeah.
yeah. Because
Yeah.
look, I think it's the most normal thing to have these fears.
Mm.
And again, we're not judging them either. They're not
No.
wrong. But it's amazing how, as you say, when you just start getting curious and you ask yourself, what am I really afraid of here?
Mm. Yeah.
How, and even just talking that out with somebody and hearing it come out of your
Your
mouth, you go,
mouth.
gee, did I just say that? Like,
Yeah.
that's weird.
Yeah. And sometimes that's all it takes.
Yeah.
It's that realization, oh, really? And then when you realize like you're afraid of whether it's approval or like people not approving of your decisions or whatever it is, or fear of failure, once you realize what it is, you can sit there in that space and go, okay, well, what's true here? What's really going on? And how do you want to
Mm.
live from here on in? What do you want it to look like?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I mean, it takes being brave
Mm-hmm.
to go there.
And that's why, my business is be brave, be strong. It's not
Yeah.
something we feel like often. It's a decision. It's a choice to go there. Our podcast is Brave, Strong, and Fulfilled because it's a choice to be brave. It's a choice to be strong. It's a choice to live a fulfilled life for whatever that looks like for you.
Yeah, well, I think I think being brave and being strong is part of the journey towards living fulfilled.
Love
I
that.
think
Yes, of course it
if
is.
if you want to, um, well, and what I know from my own life is we can live in fear,
Mm,
or we can live in joy and peace and fulfillment, and that
mm,
itself is a choice.
mm,
And I'm so grateful that it's a choice we get to choose every day.
mm,
Um, and sometimes I still catch myself, in fear, doing fear.
mm-hmm.
But I can at any stage, at any time, I can stop and
Choose.
go, hey, what's going on here?
Yeah.
What am I really afraid of?
Yeah.
Do I want to work this through, work it out,
Mm-hmm.
or not? You
Mm-hmm.
know?
Yeah, can sweep it under the carpet for another day.
Avoid. Yep. Yep.
It'll still be there.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I just think today's conversation is really interesting because, yeah, it just takes, it's that curiosity piece, isn't it? What are we
Yeah.
really afraid of when we don't make decisions? What are we afraid of? And it's a great idea if you want to unpack that, have a bit of a chat with somebody that you respect and someone in your world, or with us, and be interesting to get to sort of the bottom of it so that decisions are not such a difficult, exhaustive thing that take up half our day or
Yeah.
week or year.
Oh, yes. And just to encourage you, if you're listening, if if this is an area you've struggled with, I just want to encourage you that you're
Mm.
definitely not alone.
No,
And
no,
it's so exciting to actually, like, I think this is probably, again, underlying what really got me so excited about coaching and got me like, I need to do this more. And I want to live in this space, was just that. I think for the first time in my life, I realized that I didn't need to live in this sphere,
no.
and caught up in this approval seeking all the time, because that's and being insecure. And you know what? There are actually there are clear strategies
Mm.
to grow that sort of muscle, just like you work out in the gym,
Yeah.
towards security and
Mm.
towards um having clarity around who you truly are and who you're being created to be and what that
Mm.
looks like. So it's something that really excites me.
Yeah.
Conversation I always love to have.
Yeah.
So yeah, just
Oh,
to
so good.
encourage you that there is a way forward if you feel like you're ready
Yeah.
for a way forward.
Yeah, very good. Well, I need to go make some decisions about what's for dinner.
Oh,
Uh,
we've got leftovers tonight, which don't you just love, when you've
oh,
got leftovers in the fridge and you don't have to think about dinner?
it is the best thing. But then the kids all accidentally have it for lunch. So then I'm like, oh, no, we don't have leftovers anymore.
Yes, yeah. Well, now that there's just two of us in our house, there usually are leftovers.
Yay, I love that a lot. Tastes better the
Yes,
second day anyway.
yes,
Mm,
yeah. Anyway,
yes. All
well,
right,
Elle, I've really
pal.
enjoyed this series, this little
Yeah.
decision-making series with you, and yeah, look forward to seeing you soon. I am going to be seeing you next
Yeah.
week. I am coming up to Townsville, and if you live in Townsville, and I know you, in my heart is that I would love to see everybody I know
Every
when I
single
get there,
person.
but it's going to be a
The
crazy
reality.
short time,
Mm,
and I have got work. I'm coming up for work, and I'm going to be working for most of the time I'm there, and
yeah.
getting to hang out with you for a day, Elle, which will be
Yes.
great
We'll
to
get in the recording
um,
studio.
yeah, fantastic. And just
Yeah.
talk about what's new coming to the space as
Yeah,
well.
of
So
course.
can't wait to catch up with you then and
Very
to
good.
meet little Stanley.
Ah, that you will. Very good.
Uh,
Well, bless you, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and reach out if you want to chat, and have a fabulous week.
See you, Elle. Bye.